to get the lines painted on where we need to trench, we started by staking out our house and squaring up our stakes using the Pythagorean theorem and pulling diagonals to make sure that we're square. So now that we've got our stakes in the ground, which it's 48 feet that way and 112 feet this way, and then from here to those stakes out there is going to be an additional 24 feet, but that we're not putting a stem wall, and that's going to be covered patio. So this area here is going to be where our house and shop combined are, and so it's getting a stem wall around the perimeter. Our stem wall is 10 inches thick, and some of the footings underneath each post is 3 by 3 by 1 foot thick. So to create enough space for that 3 by 3, we're going to make a 48-inch wide trench, which will give us 9 inches of play on each side of it once you take away the space of the 2x material of the form. So what we're doing is pulling this out 2 foot, add 5 inches. Flip this around, 2 foot, minus 5 inches. Then we're going to do the same here. Once we get all 4 corners painted, we'll put a stake here, and on the other side, paint along the string, and then same thing from on the inside to the other corner. That'll give us our 48-inch wide trench that runs square with the center of our stem wall. So yeah, let's get to staking, pulling some strings, and figuring out where we're going to be trenching. So now if we need to get some string. You want to come get this thing? Okay. All right, we'll get it nice and tight here, and then wrap it around twice above it, and then take your bottom and pull it up over your other string so you don't have to tie knots. All right, so we got the border of our house where we're going to do the stem wall. We got that finished up. So Now we're painting where we have to dig out for the footings for the shop. Those are 12 foot on center, so we've got our line going 48 foot across. The footings for these posts are going to be 36 by 36 inches, so I'm just kind of painting out 4 foot by 4 foot. So I've got my tape here at 18 inches, and I'm just kind of eyeballing out 6 inches after the tape. It's kind of nice to do that. It helps keep me square a little bit. And then I just look on my other tape, come out a couple feet. Always come out further and paint lines on both sides, so when you start digging and you lose the rest of your lines, you have a reference. And I'll paint these lines going this direction after we move our tape. Babe, what do you think of what we're doing?
I love what we're doing. You're gonna build me a house.
This is what it looks like.
This is what it looks like for you to build me a house.
Yeah,
Love you.
I love you. While I was trenching, the machine started squeaking at me quite a bit, so that's a sign it needs some grease. Those ones don't need it quite as bad as this bucket. It pivots the most. My lines have faded that I had painted for where I was going to need to trench for the stem wall. I tracked over all of this and stuff when I was doing the trench for the water, and I'm gonna have to put some stakes up and pull some lines so I can get my lines back where I need them to go. And then goal is to start trenching to get the stem wall put up. All right, so I'm just doing a little maintenance on the machine, just, making sure that everything's looking really good and healthy. Got the cabin air filter
just got done kind of spraying this out with the compressor, making sure that I've got nice cold AC. As supposed to get close to 80 today, so it starts getting hot. I want to make sure my AC works good. Just got done topping off windshield wiper fluid. I'm going to check oil, hydraulic fluid, radiator fluid, check my air intake filter, make sure that that's nice and clean, and then just kind of clean up the inside of the cab a little bit. Just keep up on this stuff, make sure that I'm taking good care of my machine. One thing that I really like about the Sani SY60, you know, it's not a zero tail swing, but being able to get in here and access everything, it's super nice. Once this pops up, both panels open up and it's easy to get in everywhere. Oil's actually still looking pretty clean. This is radiator, and it's hanging out like right here. On this side of the machine, I've got my fuel filter. I just bled out the bottom of that just in case there was any water or anything in there. Took care of that. And then right here is a gauge that tells you how full your hydraulic fluid is, and I could maybe add a gallon or two, but overall that's sitting pretty good. Make sure my screens are nice and clear for keeping the machine cool, and everything's looking good. Everything's all wiped down, nice and clean. Feels good to have a clean machine. Now I'm going to tension the tracks. They're a little bit loose. I think the rule of thumb for this size is like if you can put 2 to 3 fingers in between your rollers and where your track hangs down, that's good. I like mine to be a little bit tighter. If they are tighter, it can cause more wear and tear, but I still prefer a little bit of a tighter track. Alright, so I just got everything repainted. I went around the outside and painted a line about a foot, maybe 14 inches off of my line that I want to trench, because you know, you start trenching and stir up the ground, lose your line, then you have a reference line right on the outside of it. So these are 3x3 footings that are going to have brackets on them, 1 foot thick is what the requirement is. Oh shit, got a freaking bug in here. Freaking little beetle. Anyways, so the requirement for these is 3x3 by 1 foot. My brackets going in these, I'm going to make them deeper for sure. You know, there's shear strength in the building, so the posts don't actually, they're not like a pole barn where they have strength by being in the ground, but they still can be with those brackets. So I'm going to dig these a little bit deeper. We'll see if I start hitting some rock. Back out here. I started digging that third hole and immediately hit hard rock. So I was going to start doing some more hammering, but I thought, I'm going to check the nitrogen level in this to make sure that the gas is good. I filled it a long time ago when I got it, and I had to go buy a new tank. This is a Chinese auction item. I think I got this hammer for like 11, it was like maybe 1100, maybe 1500. It was a pretty good deal, and I've used it a lot, and it's actually been a really good hammer. I broke one of the chisels previously prying on it too much, and I don't know. I've probably put at least 50 hours on it, and it's been good. There it goes. I have to say, overall, I'm really happy with this hammer. It's done a really good job. I've got a Wayne Roy style coupler on my machine, and this came with a pin grabber style, and so I actually had to weld this. I could have bought one. They were like $1,600, and I thought, you know what? And I just went and got some sheet metal, 1/2 inch thick, and I took it to someone to do the CNC, and I had 6 templates cut out. We had to. This is kind of a special size, so we had to give this bar stock to someone to put on a lathe and bring down an I think it was an 1/8 inch, and in other words, it wouldn't quite fit in the machine. But I got 6 of these cut out and welded 2 of them together, and they work totally good. And that cost me $1,600. So now I have 6 of them. This is very heavy. It's not like a lava. It's this really solid basalt rock. And that hammer is taking that out pretty quick. It's only 5 minutes of work. I only added probably maybe roughly 40 PSI on the nitrogen. And Ed's hammering way better than it was yesterday. All right, so I pulled the tape out so I can start marking where all of the post footings are going to be, because those are a 3x3, and the stem wall that goes between those is only an a 10-inch stem wall. So I don't want to be wasting time hammering really a 4-foot wide trench the whole time if I only need to make space for a 10-foot stem wall and the forms between. So I'm just marking out so I know where all of my footings are going to be.
All right, so I just got done cleaning up my mess here, taking all of the rock that I hammered out, and I put quite a bit of it over there behind where the skid steer is at. I need to bring that spot up a little bit and grade and do a little boulder retaining wall over there, but I needed to get all of this where next to the trench. I had to get all this cleared off so that we can get the concrete truck around here to pour the footings. So just got done kind of sorting through the rocks and leveling out the ground. So now I need to take the excavator and go through and kind of fine tune the trench and just kind of level it out a little bit with the bucket, get it a little bit more ready for 3/4 minus to go on it. Just trying to get it about an inch or two below where I want that 3/4 minus. That's the goal for today, is to get that done and possibly put up my strings and square up where the building's going to go. So making great progress. All right, I got all my strings up. I got them up last night and was able to use the Milwaukee laser. I used that to get everything nice and square, and I feel pretty good about it. It's very difficult to get really dead on the money with something this size. So this is it's 48 foot this way by 112 foot long, because it's a 48 foot shop and then a 64 foot house. So and because I'm going to do my wall girts on the edge, then I'm going to need to add 3 inches. So it's 48 foot 3 inches and 112 and 3 inches. So that's what I did, but I added a 1/2 inch on all sides so I can keep my string 1/4 inch off the forms. So feels good to have that all nice and square, and everything looks pretty good in my trench, except underneath each post where there's gonna need to be a 3 foot footing by 1 foot thick. I'm going to have to probably do some shoveling. A lot of the sides kind of, they started kind of coming in because it got dry, and I was running the compactor over it and just digging with the excavator, and so I'm gonna have to shovel a lot of this as I hit each footing, but that's all right. So this feels good to have this all squared and ready to rock and roll. And so I've just got done getting a handful of tools set up over here. Got my dry storage set up. I got the Harbor Freight Hercules chop saw with the stand. So I got the sawhorses. I've got these 2x4s, and the elevation on that's just below the table. And I did this because I'm gonna have to rip all of these sheets of 3/4 for my concrete forms. I'm gonna have to rip them in half. It's a 24-inch high stem wall, which is going, our frost level is about that here, but it's all going on pretty hard rock. I mean, you saw I had to hammer all of that. So I'm gonna be ripping all of those in half and then cutting specific notches out for the footings, the 3x3 footings. And then for the chop saw, I'm going to be starting off by, these are what I'm going to use to hold my, the 10-inch stem wall apart at the bottom. I'll be cutting these into 10-inch strips, so these can kind of be my spreaders to hold the bottom of the stem wall where I want it. All of these 2x4s are going to be supports for the top and the bottom.